Hello chess friends, and welcome to Azarov's chess channel, and welcome to my hyper-accelerated ranked Sicilian defense series. So in this series, of course, we see a very nice weapon while playing against the e4, and today I wanted to continue with this Maróczy Bind again. And this Maroczy Bind, as I said, is a very strong idea by white. It's a positional approach against your aggressive Sicilian line, and today it gets even more positional. So there is this move by white which he can play. It is the knight on c2 move. I'll show you the importance of that move by white, and it's really a positional move, and white is trying again to rely simply on his space advantage on the fourth rank. So with this e4 pawn and his c4 pawn, he's relying on this very nice central control, and with this knight on c2 move, he is not allowing you to trade off the knights on d4 and simplify the position. So let's see now again this Maroczy Bind line, and today I wanted to continue with this particular knight on c2 line. So here we have again e4, c5, knight on f3, g6. I want to really memorize this move order in this hyper accelerated ranked Sicilian defense. So d4, c takes d4, knight takes on d4, bishop on g7. Now c4. That's this Maroczy Bind setup with this two pawns and this knight in the center. I've explained it in my previous videos, the importance of this setup. So now knight on c6, challenging the knight, bishop on e3, knight on f6, knight on c3, and here castling, bishop on e2, d6. And now comes this move, knight on c2. You see, white is not allowing this trade of the bishops, so then we cannot play maybe this bishop on d7 and then bishop on c6 idea, which will attack our opponent's e4 pawn, which I've explained in my previous videos, and then after that we played this move knight on d7, and then after that knight on c5 with the support of this a5, and of course we get a very nice and firm position on the dark squares, but that's not possible here. And there is this mistake that you can make, and I will create also a video about this common mistakes that you can make while playing against the Maroczy Bind. Here I don't want you to play the moves a6 or b5 to try somehow well, attack the c4 and break the central control, because it's really hard to attack it. You see, the pawn, the knight, and the bishop are defending this b5, and it will need many moves to prepare this b5 move. So I don't recommend you to do that. Here is a very nice idea that I recommend you first to play the move knight on d7. And we are now liberating our bishop, so our idea is to play the move knight on c5, and of course you see your opponent cannot kick your knight away immediately because you have bishop takes on c3. So then this knight on c3 would then be hanging. So here white can try maybe f3, and now you have knight on c5. So here after castling, I recommend you a very nice idea here. Here recommend you, it might seem strange to you, but here recommend you to take out the knight on c3. So here we have b takes on c3, and the first instructive game that I wanted to show you, it was played by Nikolai Biruyikov against Alexander Zubarev. Here Alexander Zubarev with the black pieces, and I like this guy Alexander Zubarev because he plays similar openings that I like, and I have analyzed many of his games. So here you see, after b takes bishop takes on c3 and b takes c3, we have now lost our bishop pair, but we have still possibilities with our e6, e7 and f6 move. We have possibilities to create a blockade system against this dark square bishop. So meanwhile, you see, we have created now these two weak pawns, and our goal is simply to play on to that. So we are simply playing on these two pawns. We try to attack him and of course capture them, and continue the game maybe with the pawn up, and White will try, of course, to create your checkmate ideas while playing bishop on h6, and try somehow mate you here on g7, because you have lost your dark square bishop. But you see, here you have to play really positionally, and of course, let's see now how black attacks this two weak pawns here. So here, bishop on e6, immediately attack on this very weak c4 pawn. So this pawn is our goal. So here, bishop on h6 was played, and now rook on e8, knight on e3, and now rook on c8 with preparations. Maybe if this knight goes somewhere from the c file, of course, you see, with the support of the rook, we have also an attacking possibility of this very weak c4 pawn. So now f4 was played. Of course, you see, white will try. You have to be careful in this line. White will try to open somehow the position, and then of course his bishops will be deadly if the position gets too open. So here, very nice idea by Zubarev, f6, with an idea maybe f5, then you can bring your bishop on f7, and here bishop on g4 was played, and now bishop takes on g4. So here, knight takes on g4, and now king on h8, which is a very good move. It allows us to bring our rook here on g8, and of course control this very important g7 square. Now white tried queen on e2, and now queen on d7. So you see, okay, white has now this very nice bishop, but as I pointed you out, we are simply playing on this weak pawn. So here e5 was played, now f5, very good move by Zubarev. He kicks away the knight on f2, and now queen on e6. And okay, we are using now here the pin on the queen, but our main strategical idea here is also to trade off the queens, because if we trade off the queens, then of course we don't have any more this checkmate threats on g7, which are the main idea, of course, for white here. If we trade off the queens, we can continue. Again, I'm pointing out to play simply on these weaknesses, and I guarantee you this will be a very nice endgame for you if you manage to trade off the queens after you give up your bishop and took the knight on c3. So here, rook from a to e1 was played, d takes e5, f takes e5, and now knight on a5 attacking this pawn. So here, knight on h3 was played, and now knight on e4. Very nice knight. You see that this knight is now on a like square. It can only be attacked by this knight, and white has already played with this knight on h3, so of course he's not gonna play again with this knight on f2. So we have a very nice cemented knight on e4, and of course the possibility in the next move to take this pawn on c4, which was our idea. So queen on f3, and now knight on c4. Very nice. Here rook takes on e4. This was sort of a idea here by white to sacrifice the rook for the exchange, but of course to open some files. F takes e4, queen takes e4, and now of course queen takes e5, again with the idea trade off the queens. Then we solved all of our problems. Queen on h4 was played, knight on d6, here knight on g5, and now king on g8. Of course, in some variations, of course, this knight could be maybe overloaded, and then white has this possibility on the fork on the king and the queen. So that's why black goes here with the king on g8, and also gets out of this h file, which was sort of a discovered attack here by white on the king. So now g4 was played. Well, you see white is trying desperately to open somehow the files and diagonals. So now you see rook on c3. So here Zubarev took out also this other weak pawn. So now we have knight on h7, but here Zubarev didn't react. Of course, we don't want to take the knight. Then you get here a discovered check, and of course then after that white can capture the queen. So here first the check, queen on d4, king on h1, and now queen on e4. king on g1, and now rook on c2. And this is now, of course, completely winning position here for black. So in this position, white resigned, and you see how important it was to create these weaknesses. Although we gave up our very strong bishop, but I think it's really playable to play simply on this weak 2 pawns. So let's see now another position. Here it was a game played by Nc2 against Nc2, two very strong players from Croatia here, and here bishop on e3 was played, and here Nc2 immediately took out here the knight on c3, b takes c3, and again you see now this very weak pawn structure. We have to play onto this weak pawns, but as I said, we have to be careful, because if the position gets open for the bishops, again we have here immediately checkmate threats around our king. So but one good thing about this position that you can realize, that white can only push his pawns here on the king side. Of course, he's not going to push here these 2 pawns or this pawn. He's simply relying on his bishop pair and on his very fast attack on your castle king. So at least you know where he's going to attack you. So here b6 was played by Nc2, also a very nice idea. Here bishop on h6 again, rook on e8, and now f4. So this is now a very strong attack by white here. Bishop on b7. Here knight on e3 was played, an improvement of this knight, and now knight on c5. Again attacking now this e4 pawn. You see we are simply playing on these weaknesses. Bishop on f3, and now rook on c8, h4, and now knight on a5. Now we have attacked here again this e4 pawn, and also we have also possibilities to attack this c4 pawn. So now h5 was played, and now bishop takes on e4, bishop takes on e4, and now knight takes on e4. H takes g6, h takes g6, and now we have very nice move by white, f5. But here Nc2 plays knight on f6. He brings now a defender here around his king. So we have here e takes f takes g6, f takes g6, and again white tries here this rook sacrifice in order to open somehow the position. We have e takes f6, and now queen on d5, king on h7, and now knight on g4. But this attack is not so strong, I think, because here Nc2 finds a very nice defensive move. He plays queen on e7, and of course we are trying to trade off the queens. So here bishop on f4 was played, and very nice move now, f5, kicking away the knight on e3, and now of course queen on e6. If we get rid of the queens, as I said, we are continuing the game, of course, in a winning endgame. So queen on f3 was played, and now knight on c4. We took out also this other weak pawn, and now we have knight on d5, and now rook on c5. In this position, white resigned. So of course he doesn't have good squares for the knight, and he's forced to maybe trade the knights here. And you see this attack by white splashed, of course, a little bit, and there's no way to create any more this checkmate threats here. So let's see now another idea here. After knight on d7, white can try maybe the move queen on d2. He's not allowing now this bishop on c3 idea in order to doubling his pawns, but here I recommend you again knight on c5. You see b4 is not possible so far, because you can play bishop takes on c3, and then after that take out the pawn on e4. So in this line I wanted to show you also an instructive game. It was played by Joanna Dvorakovska against Leon Hoyos Manuel, and here black tries another idea after bishop on h6. You see, and I pointed you out in my previous videos that you don't have to worry about some trades of dark square bishop in this line. So here after bishop on h6 you have simply bishop takes on h6 and queen takes on h6. So I really wanted to realize that this bishop is very weak because of the c4 and d4 pawn, and meanwhile our bishop has a very nice diagonal. Maybe we can put it here on e6. Of course you have to be careful here for a king, but you have this common defensive setup. You can play f6 and then after that rook on f7, which controls really the 7th rank, and you cannot get checkmated here on the 7th rank. So let's see now the continuation here. f5 played by black. We have e takes f5 and now bishop takes on f5. Here we have queen on d2 and now very nice move e5. And this e5 is really important because here knight on e3 was played. If well, white tries maybe rook on d1 and attacking your pawn on d6, then you have bishop takes on c2, queen takes on c2, and now you have a very nice square for a knight, this d4, which can also be supported then after that with this other knight. You can support it while playing this knight from c to e6. So here after knight on e3, knight on d4 was played anyway, because you see this knight on d4 can only be kicked away by this knight on c3, but again you can really doubling up here and control very well this d4 square, which is really important. So we have gained some space, of course, on this fourth rank of this other side of the board of your opponent. So I think this outpost of the knight is very important in this line. And again, I wanted to realize that white has this problem with this bishop on e2. It hasn't played so far. So here white tries castling, and now queen on g5. And this is now again this common idea. We want to trade off the queens. We want to trade off the dark square bishop first. We want also to trade off the queens in this Maroczy Bind lines. Here f4 was played, and now queen on h4, knight takes on f5, and we have g takes on f5, bishop on f3, and now king on h8. Again, this common idea to put our rook here on the very strong g file, and of course also control this weak g7 square around the king. So we have here bishop on d5, now rook from a to e8, rook from a to e1, a5. Again, sort of a blocking system. We are not allowing to white to play here the move b4. So here rook on e3 was played, and now queen on f6, knight on e2, knight takes on e2, and now queen takes on e2, and now you see very strong move e4, with the preparations to put now our knight here on this very nice square on d3. So here king on h1 was played, now rook on e7, and of course with preparations to bring the rook also on this very nice file, on this g file. Here queen on d2 was played, and now knight on d3 as planned, of course. Here we have rook on e2, rook on g7, queen takes on a5, but that's not really a problem because you have knight takes on b2, c5, we have d takes c5, queen takes c5, and you see how white tries really to open somehow the position, but this position is still so good fixed here by black, because now we have again knight on e6 and knight on d3, pardon me, and again challenging the queen. This knight is really hard to attack now from white's perspective, of course. Here queen on e3 was played, and now rook on c8, the rook comes on a very nice file here. Bishop on b3, rook from g to c7, now g3, and now very nice move, rook on c1. We have rook takes on c1, rook takes on c1, king on g2, and now queen on c3, with some preparations maybe to play here the knight on e1 also. But if the queen moves, then we have a very nice move, knight takes on f4. So here white tried queen on a7, and now you get a very nice move. Knight takes on f4. Whatever you do, you get checkmated, because if you take g takes f4, then you get queen takes on f3, and if you play king on f2, then you get again queen takes on queen on f3, checkmate. So let's go back here again. So here in this line, after knight on c5 and this queen on d2, you see it's really not a problem if your opponent tries here this bishop trade. And keep in mind, if white doesn't play here the queen, if he leaves it on d1, then you can simply capture this knight on c3 and go in sort of a positional game in which you can attack this c3 and this c4 pawn. So I hope you realize this positional approach by white. I hope you enjoyed this video. Meanwhile, of course, watch my other hyper accelerated Dragon Sicilian videos if you want to have a very nice opening against e4. And of course, you can also watch my King's Indian videos if you have problems while playing against d4. And of course, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, and chess is the best, of course.